Hello and welcome to my channel, AB Make It Artwork, where we do what we do to make that holiday artwork for you. And if you're new to my channel, maybe hit that subscribe button, join the AB Creative crew. We do sketchy art things. And if you're new to the channel, new to my Vlogmas series, I'm doing Digital Drawcember. Digital Drawcember is a challenge month that I have created for myself, that if you want to join, you're free to join. And it's a challenge month in which I use digital drawing mediums throughout the entire month to create different illustrations based on a prompt list that I've made. And the point of Digital Drawcember for me is that I want to get better at using digital drawing mediums. For me, that means using Procreate and Sketchbook from my iPad. For others, it may be using Photoshop or Paint Tool SAI, or whatever drawing medium you happen to use digitally. I've heard of Krita and Fire Alpaca. I don't use them because I draw on my iPad. And this is the third drawing for my Digital Drawcember series, aptly named Milk and Cookies. As I mentioned, I wanted to start off the first week of Digital Drawcember mostly focusing on still life prompts. And with Milk and Cookies, I decided that I didn't just want a plate of cookies and a glass of milk. I wanted to incorporate some other elements in the background. So as you see, there's the napkin on which the cookies are resting on. There's a gingerbread house with a gingerbread man in the background. And way further in the background is a tree. But I guess I should say that the gingerbread house is in the middle ground, and the cookies and milk are in the foreground. So as I've been doing with most of my Digital Drawcember prompts, I do a sketch on the bottom, which you've already seen, and then I start doing multiple layers in which I stack objects as they are shown in view. And today I'm using Sketchbook. With Sketchbook, one of the things I really love, which you'll see a couple of times, is that I am using the styles option for drawing shapes. So with the styles option, you have 3 different options aside from the freehand drawing, which you naturally use without any prompting from the app. Is you get straight lines, circles, and rectangles as your styles. And one of the things that I found made it easier if I was drawing something that was a rectangle is just warping that shape. Now with the size of my piece, I was only allowed a maximum of 8 layers, so I decided to work on parts and then merge the layers down as I completed them. And you can see me messing around with the gingerbread house. I was using the warp tool when it comes to movement to sort of shift it and make it look better in perspective. And I've adjusted my magic lasso tool so that it'll grab 100% of the color. So before it was set on a lower setting, so it would grab most of one color on a layer, but now I've got it to where it collects all of it. You can see right now I'm working on the frosting for the gingerbread house. And the way that I got the frosting effect is that I was using a medium paintbrush, which does this sort of blurring effect after you first put the color down. So when you put your brush down and then move it around, it'll start blurring it out and mixing it, which I thought was a very nice effect, that it really did look like frosting put on by a kid and really kind of goopy and layers, but also melting. And the frosting may be one of my favorite parts of the piece, just a little bit, because I do feel that the frosting was the most accurate portrayal with the gingerbread house. Overall, well, I can't say overall, because I want to wait till the end for my overall review. Right now you can see me working on a candy cane, and I forgot to just select the base color so that I could color over it with the stripes. So this meant that I had to use the magic lasso tool to not only grab one color, but 2 different colors and grab multiple sections of the color, which I think My problem was that I had set the magic lasso to high with its grab function, and I had it at 200%. So I fixed it and did 100. Now you can see I copied and pasted that candy cane and just reversed it so that I could have two different candy canes and warped it so that it would look right on the gingerbread house. Here's the little gingerbread man. I decided that instead of trying to draw both sides of his body, I would draw half the body and then adjust to suit the piece so that he looks like a gingerbread man. And simply going back with the paintbrush tool medium brush, I went over and started icing him. And this is fun with the gumdrops. Oh goodness, I think I just did, this is something that I did with a lot of the piece, in which I would grab a layer of color, do one layer of multiply for shadow, and then one layer of screen for highlight. And this is actually a fun bit because I still had the gingerbread man copied, so I just pasted that onto a different layer, put that layer on multiply, and that's how I have the cast shadow for the gingerbread man. Now you can see me working on the napkin with the cookies, and I decided that only having the one sheet of napkin wasn't really enough, so I copied the layer after I had added the multiply shadow and the screen highlight layers, and merged those down into one layer, and then put it under the layer of the original napkin, and adjusted the hue setting, actually the lightness, brightness setting. Again, series of multiply one layer to add shadow, then highlight with screen. I would tend to highlight with tones that were yellow in hue because I had an ideal that when it came to the background there were going to be yellow lights to highlight everything. And I definitely like how the chocolate chips look. One of the fun things that I had with doing all the different cookie types was adding a texture, but I definitely had to look around for a bit. I think I used dotting tool number 2 in Sketchbook to add some texture, which was pretty fun. You can see me working on the glass right now. The process of working on the glass was an interesting one. It does look a little stiff compared to everything else, but I'm trying to think. I use this one function of Sketchbook, which is sort of a split screen, kind of like MS Paint, where you could have it to where the screen was split in two, and if you drew on one side, it would just copy it to the other side. And I used the style tools to draw out the shape so that I had a cup. And I would multiply that shape on different layers and fill it so that I could have the shading on a separate layer and then the milk on a separate layer. And the way I did the milk was I filled it with one color, adjusted the hue levels, and I think I put that like on a screen. Or no, I kept it on normal. And then multiplied the original glass to overlay on top of the milk so I could still have the shading. Now you can see me working on that background with that tree. I tried to make the layer's opacity a little lighter so I can see my background original sketch. And mainly I just did a fill layer with the circle gradient. And I think that was like about it. If you want to see my prompts done as they get done, you can follow me on my social media, which is Instagram, Twitter, Tumblr, DeviantArt. I need to catch up with my Huvember prompts. So best bet is follow me on Instagram. With that being said, I hope you have a wonderfully festive December and that you do what you do to make that artwork for you. Lots of love. Bye.